Hangout. Okay, now we're broadcasting on Hangout. Let me hit the Zencaster.
Then play the music, and then we should be good, right?
Yep, here we go.
Oh, I'm nervous.
Don't be nervous. I'm going to keep an eye on my level at first just to make sure. 3, 2, 1. Try that again. 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to The Weigh-In with Mike Parson.
What are you cackling at, fatty? Too much pie, that's your problem.
And Fred Slow.
Anybody want a peanut?
On demand 24/7 at weightinradio.com.
So, Fred, did you suffer through the first half of Monday Night Football last night to watch the much ballyhooed Star Wars Episode 7 trailer?
Sort of. I have a day job where I'm required to be at City Council at the first and third Monday of every month. So I was there last night, and I was trying to leave the City Council the entire time because I didn't want to be the one guy to miss the Star Wars trailer premiere that they didn't tell me exactly when it was going to be. So I was on bated breath the whole time.
Well, it's funny because my Facebook was all ablaze last night of people who don't watch football, didn't care to watch football, but they were statusing that they were watching football. And the only reason they're watching football is because the Star Wars trailer is dropping sometime during the game.
It was the greatest minute I've had all year, and I've had sex on 2 different occasions.
Well, that's 2 minutes.
Was the trailer 2 minutes? Because it went so fast.
So never mind. The trailer was 2.5 minutes. Fred, I'm going to say something here, and it's something that has lost me many friends over the years, and I hope it doesn't have an effect on our friendship. I have never seen a full Star Wars movie.
That's blasphemy.
That's what I hear.
Cast ye to the sea.
I know. You know what? People get really pissed off when I say that I've never seen a full Star Wars. I mean, I don't say anything bad about Star Wars. I understand that it's very popular, and I'm in the minority. And I don't even really think Star Wars is for nerds. You know, there's this popular narrative out there that nerds love Star Wars, but everybody loves Star Wars.
Do you get the references and stuff? Because there are so many references to Star Wars in everyday life.
I mean, I understand them because it's so ubiquitous. It's like Seinfeld. I didn't watch a whole lot of Seinfeld when it was on, but I know when I hear a Seinfeld reference. It's the same thing as Star Wars too. It's so ubiquitous that I mean, there's a couple that I don't get. Like if you say, "Oh, this place is like Tatooine," well, I had to look up what Tatooine is. But if you say something like "Welcome to the dark side" or "I'm your father," you know, I get the basics.
So if I were to be my do or do not, there is no try.
That's Yoda.
Yeah. Okay. So you get the softballs.
Yeah. I mean, I'm conversational. If Star Wars were a language, I could ask to use the bathroom.
I find your lack of Star Wars disturbing.
Darth Vader.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. But I had to change it up there to make it fit this conversation.
Right.
Okay, so it's like if I were to start to speak sign language, but the only words I knew were like "F you" and "good job," which is thumbs up.
Right. If you're speaking sign language to me and you give me the thumbs up or the middle finger, I can differentiate between the two. Just because I live on Earth.
But the characters too, right? So like Admiral Akbar.
He's that. Is that the guy with the eyeballs? They're coming out of his head. He looks like a dinosaur.
Well, most everyone has eyeballs in their head, so yes, that is a qualifier.
He's the one who looks like a dinosaur, right?
It's a trap, and then.
Oh yeah, I see that guy.
Okay. So, yeah, you have just put me on my heels, Mike. I wasn't ready for this.
Well, let me tell you my plight now, okay? Because I feel like Star Wars as an experience has passed me by, right? I feel like I want to get the full Star Wars experience if I just sat down and watched all of them at the same time. First question, do I start with The Phantom Menace or do I start with the first Star Wars, which is actually Episode 3?
Understood. So the question is, do you start with A New Hope or do you start with Phantom Menace? And I'm going to tell you chronologically, it makes the most storyline sense to start with The Phantom Menace. But enjoyment wise, it makes the most sense to start with The New Hope because there are references in the new trilogy to the old trilogy that you won't understand without seeing the original trilogy, which is 3 through 6 before 4 through 6. Math is hard.
Okay, but to get the full experience, shouldn't I maybe watch A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, and then wait 15 to 20 years, and then wait in line to go see episodes 1, 2, and 3, and then wait another 5 years and watch episode 7?
You are very fortunate to be living in what I'm going to call the golden age of entertainment, Mike. You can, this holiday season, go and see all 17 and 1/2 hours of Star Wars films in a row at local Warenberg.
Well, Fred, when I go to the movies, I get antsy after about 2 hours. Like this weekend, I went to see The Martian starring Matt Damon. And I thought it was a great movie. I was on the edge of my seat. I found the science and the ingenuity fascinating. But once it hit the 2-hour mark, there's about 10, 15 minutes left, and I started getting fidgety. Now, I could understand if you love Star Wars, you'd want to sit there and watch all 17 minutes. 17 and a half hours. But as a noob, so to speak, wouldn't that put me at risk of reaching Star Wars burnout after halfway through the episode 2 and not really enjoying it the way I should?
Let's do the math real quick, Mike. Today, as we record, it's October 20th, which gives us 1 more week in October, gives us 4 weeks in November, and gives us like roughly 2 weeks in December. So 7 weeks before the new Star Wars movie comes out. You could, in fact, watch one movie every single week, and we could do a review on the way-in with Mike Parsons of Star Wars movies for our listener, and I think it'll be a ratings hit.
Yeah, our listener would definitely enjoy that. That's a good question, Fred. Are there more episodes of Star Wars than there are listeners to the weigh-in?
It's right now. It's probably a push.
Yeah, it's half and half. And come December, that can all change. I don't know. Are they on Netflix? Can I get them on Redbox? Where would I go about obtaining these? Would I find it on an illegal Russian pirate base site and watch the subtitles?
You're no Lamar Odom, but you're a grown man, Mike. You're going to be able to figure this out.
All right. Well, you know what? Maybe we should do that. I should find what are their approximate run times? Are they any longer than 2 hours?
No. They're 90 minutes, that kind of thing. They're regular feature film.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to try to find some time this week and every week until it comes out. And it'll be like when people have children and they're seeing the world again for the first time through their children's eyes. It'll be like, whoever is fortunate enough to stumble upon this happy accident of a podcast we have, it'll be like they're watching Star Wars again for the first time through my eyes.
Maybe you should, and I'm not going to, first of all, don't bring anyone in your home that you're not comfortable with. Don't put yourself in a situation where you and your family do not feel safe. But maybe reach out to the Metro Detroit area and find a friend or a fan of the show who also has not experienced Star Wars. Maybe you guys come together in an effort to just absorb the lexicon that is George Lucas.
I feel like I'm halfway there already. Like you're talking about cultural osmosis earlier. I feel like I get most of the cultural references. I just need to sit down and watch the movies.
Yeah, I think, and it's kind of neat to me that you claim you've never seen one and whatever. I'm not going to call you a liar, but you seem to know a lot about it. But there are some guys out there that literally know the insides and outs of the Star Wars universe, man. Like,
well, and Fred, maybe the fact that I haven't seen any of the Star Wars all the way through, I missed something. But there's been a hashtag going around called Boycott Star Wars, where certain groups are saying, due to the fact that the main character is black, Star Wars is an anti-white propaganda piece promoting white genocide. What?
That's very racist.
I mean, it's racist of the people using the hashtag. I don't know if you've noticed this, Fred. racist people love to call other people racists. It's like their favorite. It's like their favorite pastime.
There is no way this is an actual thing. It's not just two guys cooking up a troll. Like, this is a real movement.
Well, I kind of get the sense that the people who started it might have been trolling. There's rumors that 4chan is behind this, and I believe that. But there's some idiots out there who are actually running with this, and they're really on a crusade to boycott Star Wars because I don't know. Maybe they think that since Luke Skywalker's not in this one, and there's a black guy, maybe they think the black guy killed him. I don't know. I mean, at first, when I first read this, I was incredulous like everyone else. But as I read more of it, I think it's somebody just pulling a giant troll on the internet.
I know a little bit about J.J. Abrams, who's the man behind Star Wars this time, right? Okay. And he's done a lot of projects, like, for instance, like the Mission Impossible movies, like Star Trek. Like, he's put like people who are like nutso white guys like Tom Cruise in leading roles. I don't for a fact believe that J.J. Abrams or anyone at Disney is trying to kill off white heroes.
Right, especially since Harrison Ford was in the trailer, Princess Leia was in the trailer, and R2-D2 was in the trailer. I'm guessing R2-D2 is a Caucasian robot, but I don't know. I might find that out over the next 7 weeks.
Well, I'm excited for you,
Fred.
Yeah, no, this is good for you. It's going to be tolerable, which is good because we're not talking Star Trek here. We're not talking Lord of the Rings. You said it earlier. This one is culturally acceptable. Star Wars, if you were to go out right now with a Rebel Alliance or a Empire logo T-shirt, people would be like, "Oh, cool, I get it. This works. It's going to work for you."
Okay, not to sound like a chick watching sports with her boyfriend, but the Rebels are the good guys and the Empire's the bad guys, right, Fred?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about perspective. I mean, you try to tell a stormtrooper that he's a bad guy.
Okay, so Luke Skywalker is a rebel.
Yes, rebel scum.
Which in America, the rebels are the racists, but in Star Wars, they're the good guys, and Darth Vader is the Empire.
Yes, well, but the Empire has good people in it. There's like a corrupt cell of the Empire.
Oh, all right. Well, hey, you know what? Like I said, don't spoil anything else more for me. I want to be surprised for the first time. Chelsea's probably going to be so bored. Man, I don't know if Chelsea's ever seen the Star Wars.
December.
I should ask her. Hey, dear.
Yeah, because she's going to respond to that.
Hello? No.
No, yeah, I cannot believe she didn't come to that. So this December 18th, Star Wars is going to hit theaters nationwide, and that night, plus 9 months, there's going to be a lot of births.
Yeah, and they're all going to be named after the quote unquote black guy who killed Luke Skywalker.
I don't even know what his name is in the new movie.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you'll have to wait till opening night, I guess.
I love it. I'm down for Star Wars. I'm down for all this. I like nostalgia, and this is nostalgic for me. So good job, Disney. I hope they knock it out the park.
It's the Weigh-In, weightinradio.com, caveradiobroadcasting.com. All right, that was fun. Let's see. Did we go a full 8? Was that a full 18? Wow, we went 18 minutes with that. That's okay. We're having a good time. Or maybe the Zencastr will tell me. Oh, the Zencast. We've only, according to the Zencastr, we only went 13 minutes with that, so that's cool.
Oh, good job.
Okay.
So we're gonna have to edit it anyways. Okay, I wasn't thinking about this shit.
What do you have to edit?
We have to take up this conversation.
Oh, right. Oh, sorry. Oh, that's right. We're doing all live then. That's okay.
Hey, do I sound good on your end? Because your video is kind of jumping on me.
You jumped a couple times, but you sound good for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if Zencastr bypasses that. Okay. Here we go.
Am I bringing it back?
Yeah, you can bring it back.
What are we talking about?
I was going to talk. We can either talk about the boneheaded plays, or we can talk about.
Yep, boneheaded plays. Got it.
Okay, here we go.
I don't have any names. Do I need names? I'm just going to say positions. I'm going to say punter.
Yeah, you can say punter. Because I don't know. Anyway, here we go. It's 29. We will go to 42-ish. 3, 2, 1.
Now, back to the weigh-in.
I wash myself with a rag on a stick.
WeighInRadio.com.
It's called snissing, Mike. It's whenever you sneeze and pee at the same time. Reportedly, one of the many joys of pregnancy.
That sounds like a double relief to me.
I one time blinked, farted, and sneezed at the same time. Thought I time traveled.
When I was a kid, my sisters told me that if I burped and farted at the same time, I would deflate and die.
The things you hold on to when you're little.
When I was a kid, I also crossed my eyes and hit myself in the back of the head to see if it would really stick that way.
When you were a 19-year-old kid from Australia punting for Michigan State against Michigan, and what's the rivalry called up there, Mike?
I don't. It doesn't really have a rivalry. It doesn't have a name. I mean, the rivalry's kind of big, even though Michigan won't admit to it. But I guess they call it the backyard brawl. I hear that thrown around.
Well, we'll go with that. When I was a kid, just kidding. The backyard brawl this past weekend, Michigan plays Michigan State for the 100th time in 100 years or something.
Yeah, they play every year.
Yeah, and they play every year. And Michigan is back in the national spotlight for the first time in a long time. They got Jim Harbaugh there. He's making waves. He's saying controversial things. Michigan has a chance coming from the Big Ten, if they go undefeated, to be in that conversation for one of the top 4 teams in the nation come playoff time.
Yeah, maybe next year. Michigan State's still in the running for it, though.
Michigan State this weekend. This is at the Big House, right?
Yep, at the University of Michigan in front of their own fans.
So the game is over, man. There's 5 seconds left. Michigan's just going to punt the ball away, which is the right play. I don't care what you say, Sean May. I'm not going to run around for 4 seconds and heave it in the air. That's suicide. I'm going to take a punt, and I'm going to get it down the field. And that's what Michigan was going to do with their 19-year-old Australian punter. That does,
very handsome, by the way.
That he did what?
He's very handsome, by the way.
Yeah, no one from Australia is not pretty. That Mel Gibson, obviously. Mishandles the punt, bounces around like a what's something that bounces a lot and scares the shit out of you, like a spider.
How about a pinball?
Yes, a pinball full of spiders. And it is picked up by Michigan State, returned in what was the longest 3 seconds I had ever watched on television, Mike. Returned, 30 yards in a stumbling, bumbling over the they win it. Time expires. The game's over. Half the hearts in Michigan are broken. The other half hearts in Michigan, I really don't know what the college ratio is in Michigan, but I'm sure a lot of people go to either state or the university. And it is the most fantastic finish I had seen to a college football game all year. Michigan State pulls out the win on a fluke disaster of a special teams play by Michigan. I loved it. Loved everything about it.
And it's funny, Fred, because of course it's been the topic of discussion all over Sports Talk Radio. And people love to do this after the fact. Oh, well, why didn't Jim Harbaugh psychically foresee a problem with the punt? And why did he do this? Why didn't he do that? You're right, Fred. A punt is such a routine play, especially by the time you get to that level. If I'm Jim Harbaugh and people are asking me why I decided to punt on that play, I would say, look, if we can't execute a simple punt, we don't deserve to win anyway. And that's what happened. And, the kid who ran it back for Michigan State, if you watch the video, at the end, people are piling on him, and he's like waving his arm around because he broke his hip on the play. So you just made the biggest play of your life, and your teammates are all piling on you, and you're in excruciating pain because you just broke your hip. A bittersweet moment. And now, the punter is getting death threats on Twitter, on keyboard warriors. But I would say this, Fred. In America, I would say it's probably still better to be an Australian model college athlete who screwed up a punt in a big game than just some normal American fat guy who never did. So I think this Michigan punter kid's going to be okay. And forgive me, man, because I cannot find the name of it. I'll post it on the website if I do. But there's a company that tracks tweets
during major events, right? So there's a company that takes all the tweets and analyzes every single one, and I'm sure they have an algorithm that figures it out. But they were and what's a good example? Like they did it whenever we killed Osama bin Laden.
Right.
They did it whenever like a new president is elected. Well, they were doing it during the Michigan State-Michigan game, tracking the tweets, all right? So they had tracked the tweets to the punter, and about 25% of those were like death threats and, you know, just like the worst shit on the internet. But 75% of them were like, hey man, no big deal. You're going to be a cool dude. Like society prevails for the first time on the Twitter, but 25% is a vocal 25%.
Right. And yeah, like I said, you know, I'm also thinking maybe the fact that he's from Australia and he didn't grow up a Michigan fan might help his psyche. Because I mean, Fred, if I transferred to a college over in Australia and I blew the final game in the big rivalry rugby match, I'd feel pretty bad about myself at first, and then I'd go back home to America and forget about it because nobody cares about rugby in America and no one cares about American football in Australia.
I am glad that this happened, and I am glad because I, like most Americans, can relate to failure. Mike, I've been there.
Me too.
I've made a boneheaded play. Like I've made a mistake and lost the game.
Me too. And I did it a lot because growing up, Fred, as a young child, all I wanted to be was good at sports. I mean, I didn't want to be good at sports enough to like practice and watch what I eat, but I wanted to be good at sports, and I just never was. And yeah, whenever something like that happens, I really, really can relate to the person who screwed up the game because when I see that, I see myself more as the punter than the kid who picked the ball up and scored the winning touchdown.
Yeah, we are on the exact same page here. There's a reason I am a sports broadcaster and not an athlete, Mike, and it is because my follies outweigh my non-follies.
What is the worst way that you ever blew a game? I'll tell you mine after you tell me yours.
I was a junior at Washington State University, and we're playing intramural flag football, right? So intramural flag football is set up like I'm sure all intramural flag footballs across the country, where you and a group of your buddies, it's not like the team's not assigned to you. It's guys that I worked with at the Creamery and had in Sociology 301 or whatever.
Right, and you're all probably blitzed.
Oh, every game. And also, here's the gayest rule in Washington State University intramural flag football. Your shorts or sweatpants, because it gets so freaking cold at Washington State, you can't have pockets because people were breaking their fingers all the time in shorts pockets.
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah, so we all had to go out and buy sweatpants with no pockets. Not important. So anyways, big game.
It is the height of boner in sweatpants, by the way.
Well, it depends. It depends how comfortable you are, like tightening that band, because you can do a tuck.
Yeah, that's true.
But there, and if I don't know what you got going on downstairs or whatever, but if you're trimmed up down there, then it'll stick on the rim there. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, allegedly. I guess next time I pop a boner in sweatpants, I'll have to try that method.
We're playing some team, not important who. I am the quarterback like 90% of the time, but I'm not the quarterback when we're on the goal line because I'm about 6'6" and 300 pounds, right? So I can, I can really sling it. But when we're on the goal line, just throw it up to me, and I'm going to bring it in every time. So I'm in the goal line. We run this play every single game we've played, and I catch it in the front corner where I always catch it up as high as I can go. No one in the whole rest of the state can get that ball at that second in time. And I bring it in, and I score. And whenever I score, I do a little spike. I do a little spike that you're not allowed to do because that's unsportsmanlike and it causes fights. And we get hit with that 15-yard penalty, and we can't hit the conversion to tie the game because I have screwed us for a 15-yard loss. We lose the game. I mean, it wasn't the end of the season, but it was still a lost game. And I had to wear that, Mike. I had to wear that for the rest of the year. It was awful.
And you guys missed the playoffs by one game.
Well, no, we actually went on to win the whole thing, and that's not the point. It's not the point. It works out in the end for the good guys, but
I was on the ass. that's a factor.
I was upset, Mike, for a brief moment. So
Did you
Please
sit
go.
down on the field before it started to rain, and you just sat out in the rain for hours, just thinking, just second guessing and replaying that moment in your head over and over and over?
Actually, what I replayed over my head was the next play on the conversion that was 15 yards further away from the end zone than it should have been, that we didn't convert on, and like what I could have done differently. Because if I would have still scored, then I would have been the man. But
Right.
because I didn't, I was not a martyr. Because like I said, we ended up to still win the thing. But I mean, it was embarrassing. I was embarrassed, and I don't like being embarrassed.
It was, God, what was it? It was winter. No, it was winter of 2002. I played roller hockey, Fred, because, well, my parents were raising 4 kids with 2 in college, and they couldn't afford the ice time. So the late 90s was the heyday of roller hockey, and I was still riding that wave. I played for Chippewa Valley High School. For storytelling preferences, we'll just call ourselves Bayside. And we were playing against our arch rival. We'll call them Valley. So, playing roller hockey, I'm the backup that game. And roller hockey, since it's not real hockey, there's not 3 periods. There's 2 halves. So it's about 7 minutes in the second half, and our goal is getting shelled. So they call in the lefty, your boy, skates over to the crease, and I backstop the Bayside Tigers to a 5-5 tie.
Oh, dang. Okay.
It's the last minute of the game, Fred, and we're about to go to overtime. When at the last second, from the other team's blue line, they just fling a wrist shot at the net.
A wicked wrista.
It bounces off my glove and into the net.
Takes a crazy hopper.
And the worst part about it, Fred, is that since it was the local high school roller hockey league. I played in weekend leagues with all these guys. So the guy who scored the winning goal with 1 second left in the game from the other team's blue line was on my weekend team. So I had to hear about that.
Well, he had the scouting report is what happened, Mike. He knew you were weak from the double line pass.
Right. He knew that I struggled with shots on goal. So he just put one on there and he was victorious.
And you said these were your high school teams, right?
Yes.
Now, how many fans or at least invested individuals do you believe were in attendance at this game?
There might have been a girlfriend or 2 there, but they didn't care. So
okay, that's better then.
Yeah. So, but you know what? I cared, Fred. I've moved on. I've moved on from it since. But at the time, I wanted to die.
Yeah. No. In sports is the only time when I thought that ending my life was a better resolution to what was currently happening to me.
Right. You could not show your face in sociology class after you blew that flag football game.
There's a local bar in Pullman where Washington State was called the Zoo. And you could go into the zoo and they had Irish car bombs and that was the drink, right? So I was like, all right, guys, listen, first round's on me. And they were like, no, all rounds are on you. And I was like, oh, God. I was like, when I escaped this punishment, and they're like, no, you're going to hear about it. Like, if we hadn't won the whole thing, I'm sure none of these guys would talk to me ever again.
There's actually a picture of you hanging up in the bar that says, do not serve this loser. All right, we got to hit a break. It's the weigh-in, weighинradio.com, caveradiobroadcasting.com. Is your camera on HD?
I would assume.
Okay, because what's happening, I mean, it's not fatal, but it is happening with more regularity that you'll skip a little bit and then you'll go your picture will go a little bit fuzzy.
I wonder if that's going to show up on the recording though.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to check the Zencastr after. Like I said, it's not fatal. But I mean it is noticeable every now and then. But like I said, it hasn't really taken away from anything you've said.
Well, I know my camera is for certain HD, but it's only 720. And I don't know how to downgrade my quality.
Okay, hold on.
There might be a thing here though. Hold on.
Let me see. Well, I've got both my Kindle and my phone down here, so maybe it's sucking up the Wi-Fi. So I turned off the Wi-Fi on my phone.
Well, I'm solid as shit right here.
Okay, it might be me then.
I don't know. Man. I got literally next to me. I have a desktop, a laptop, an iPad, an iPhone, another iPhone upstairs. I mean, I'm that guy.
Okay. Where'd my settings go? Ba, ba, ba.
Oh, I just got something. What was that noise?
I don't know. Is someone watching this?
Oh,
I would-
Facebook.
Okay. Let's talk about Trump telling CNBC how to run their debate. I'll tell you about it.
Okay, cool.
Let's see. It's 45, so we will break at 57. 3, 2.
Now, back to the weigh-in.
Thank you so much for saying what needed to be said.
WeighInRadio.com.
It's still real to me, damn it.
Well, if you're not burnt out on election/debate season, we still have a long way to go.
I'm not burnt out.
No, you may be live tweeting this next Wednesday night. The third is it the third?
Yeah.
The third Republican debate.
Finally.
Right. I've been dying to. I've been on the edge of my seat since the end of the second one.
I saw Donald Trump just got approved for. He's got his own not Social Security. He's got his own Secret Service now.
Does he?
Yeah, good for. He just got it this week. But Carson says Carson don't need it. But Trump, he says, yeah, give me that. So he got it.
Wait a second. So if you're Donald Trump and you're running as a Republican, and you're using the government Secret Service, where it's quite apparent that you can provide, you can pay for your own personal security. Isn't that going to upset the Republicans who are all about cutting government spending?
Hold on. You think that Donald Trump should, out of his own pocket, hire Blackwater mercenaries instead of accepting the federally approved Secret Service? Mike, no.
I bet you Donald Trump could negotiate a lower rate on his own for his personal security.
I do not believe he's paying dime one for the Secret Service. And these are guys I want around Donald Trump. These are guys I know they're going to serve and protect him, unlike your Blackwater mercenaries that are going to just shoot any libtard that comes up to him.
That's right. You see somebody with the Bernie Sanders shirt, and they just put him in a hammerlock just to be safe. Well, next Wednesday, it's CNBC's turn to host a Republican debate. Fox News had their turn. CNN had their turn. Now it's CNBC's turn. And originally, CNBC wanted to have a 3-hour debate, and they wanted to do away with the candidates' opening and closing statements. Well, enter Donald Trump and Ben Carson, who say, hey, look, we want it to be 2 hours, and we want all candidates to have opening and closing statements. So instead of CNBC saying, hey, screw you, this is a nationally televised debate, and if you want to get your message across, you're going to play by our rules, they caved, knowing that Donald Trump equals ratings, and pretty much Donald Trump set the rules for the debate. And you know what, Fred? I have a problem with that. I really do.
I want to tell you a statistic I just looked up because I thought it would be interesting.
Okay.
Currently, right now on Facebook, 56,000 people are talking about CNBC. That's pretty good, man.
56,000?
56,000 people. That's a lot of people talking about the CNBC, the network as a whole, which runs 24 hours a day. Now, I also looked up how many people are currently talking about The Apprentice, which hasn't been on air in years, and it's 69,000 people. Do not tell Donald Trump he doesn't know how to do TV, Mike.
I'm not telling Donald Trump he doesn't know how to do TV. In fact, he probably knows how to do TV better than the people at CNBC. What I have a problem with is a quote-unquote news outlet letting the candidates tell them how things are going to be run instead of them telling the candidates how things are going to be run. I mean, there comes a point, Fred, where if you're a news outlet, being a quote-unquote watchdog for the public should supersede ratings and revenue, because that's exactly what this is. They knew that if Donald Trump pulled out of the debate, not as many people would be watching, so they wouldn't be able to charge as much money for a 30-second or 60-second commercial. So what they're doing is they're letting Trump push them around because they're sending out the message that they need Donald Trump more than Donald Trump needs them.
I'm going to take you back to 1993 real quick, Mike. And I've just turned on MTV's Unplugged. All right.
Right. Okay.
I'm going to watch Nirvana Unplugged.
Okay.
I'm tuning in not to watch MTV Unplugged, dog. I want to watch Nirvana. And that's the same thing here. I'm not watching CNBC. I'm watching Donald Trump. Donald Trump's putting on the show. He knows how to put on the show.
And that's what it's become. It's just become a show. And obviously, it's been a dog and pony show for a while. But this just confirms it, and it drives it home. I mean, I've said for a while that politics is becoming more and more like pro wrestling. And now look, the guy who's leading the pack is a guy who also received a Stone Cold Stunner during a pay-per-view of professional wrestling.
I think Russell Crowe said it best about politics. Are you not entertained? This is what it's about, Mike. We're here a full calendar year before the actual election. You know what I'm going to get? A bunch of stuff I don't care about. But if I'm entertained while it's happening, it's just like me watching Family Guy, man. I'm going to forget about it the next debate. I've already forgot about this one. I don't know what happened last week on Family Guy, but I'll laugh next week. That's where I'm at, Mike. I don't need substance. I need entertainment.
And you know what? You're exactly right, Fred. And I think that you are representative of most people who are following the debate. Yes, Donald Trump has more people paying attention than ever before. But you know this is going to lead to, Fred? This is actually going to lead to Kanye West becoming president in 2020. And I guess if Donald Trump has to become president in 2016 in order for there to be a Trump versus West debate, you know what? Maybe that's a bullet I'm willing to bite for 4 years.
Mike, if the West Lohan ticket comes across my voting option, I'm voting for West and Lohan in 2020. Okay, we all know Obama does not really run the country by himself. I got it, man. It's being ran by hundreds of people. You can put anyone at the front. And I like the idea of a guy like Donald Trump going up there and just mouthing off to every single country in the entire world, making us isolationist, putting us in a place where not only do we not need the help of anyone else, if anyone asks for our help, we say no, because we're America.
And you know what, Fred? This whole campaign season is really screwing with my head. I think I'm exactly where everyone else is with Donald Trump. It's like we're saying, of course, to quote the old Louis C.K. bit, of course Donald Trump can't be president. He shouldn't be president, but maybe he might be. You know, I'm sitting there, I'm spitballing with my friends. You know, we're talking about how Donald Trump might be the worst thing to ever happen to this country if he becomes president, but maybe he might be good at it.
Well, to quote Doc Brown, Ronald Reagan, the actor.
You know what? That's funny because a lot of people are the Cubs still in the playoffs, by the way?
They are. They are currently down 3-0 to the New York Mets at recording time.
When when they beat your beloved Cardinals, I'm very sorry.
That's all right.
You know, the internet was ablaze with people posting that clip from Back to the Future where Marty goes ahead to 2015 and finds out that not only does Miami have a professional baseball team, which they do, that professional baseball team lost to the Cubs in the World Series. And I think what's lost in it is that Doc Brown, he makes reference to a pop culture figure becoming president, which right now still seems like a very real possibility in Donald Trump.
Making the rounds locally, because tomorrow is October 21st, 2015. Tomorrow is Back to the Future Day. And making the rounds locally here in St. Louis is Bob Gale, who wrote Back to the Future. By the way, a St. Louisan. Don't know if you knew that.
Big Cardinals fan. That's why he had the Cubs winning, right? He was kind of poking fun at him.
That is the joke. He's been saying that on local interviews where he was like, I was trying to think of the most outlandish sports thing that could possibly happen in 30 years. And it was the Cubs winning the World Series. So that's a fun Easter egg for the listener.
Well, he better make the round soon because the Cubs are about to be bounced from the playoffs, and that gravy train's about to derail.
Well, I think he only has to make it to tomorrow because tomorrow, October 21st, 2015, is the date. I mean, we no longer are looking forward to or looking back to the forward time travel. But after tomorrow, I mean, you have to put out another Back to the Future movie for there to ever be any hype again.
There has been some rumors about a Back to the Future remake. I don't know if that's legit or if it's just speculation.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, yeah, Michael J. Fox was shaky about it.
How dare you? Have you ever seen that website, Michael J. Fox News, by the way?
No, I don't know anything about it.
Well, for those that don't, and I get the feeling that you're very familiar with it. If you go to michaeljfoxnews.com, it's actually a screenshot of today's Fox News, but it's shaking all over the place. And, of course, when you first see it, you're saying, that's terrible. Are you looking at it right now?
No, I'm afraid to load it.
Yeah. Of course, when you first see that, it's terrible. But I guess I guess like if you click on it, there's a donation page for Parkinson's research and whatnot.
Well, I actually saw on Reddit or something the other day, there was like 20 minutes of behind-the-scenes footage from Back to the Future 2 and 3 because they were filmed at the same time. And even then in 1985, he had early onset signs of. So he's been battling that a long time. He's a real champion for it. And the thing about that joke that I just made, Michael J. Fox is cool with that joke. Like if you bring attention to what he has going on in his cause, he is a champion of Parkinson's.
Well, he actually had a sitcom for a while, which that was sort of the premise, was his Parkinson's. And, it just didn't take off. But, he tried to make it a thing. I guess I read in an interview somewhere that Michael J. Fox first noticed that he had Parkinson's when he was taking a nap and he had his hands over his eyes. And he went to peek out of his eyes and he lifted his pinky, and his pinky couldn't stop shaking. And I don't know about you, Fred, but sometimes I get that hand laughter where, like, if I try to hold something still, my hand shakes, and that always freaks me out after reading that.
I don't, to my knowledge, know or think that I have any serious or debilitating disease outside of diabetes. I probably have diabetes.
I mean, that's a given.
That's a given. I do not take care of myself. I do not eat well. I had 3 cake pops today. My wife is the best cook. But if I did, I'm the kind of guy in spirit that would use the outlets that I have to bring attention and effort, whatever thing I was battling, very similar to Michael J. Fox.
You would start the Fred Slow Diabetes Fun Run or something.
Well, no, whoa! Mike. It would be the first annual Fred Slow Diabetes Chili Cook-Off.
The Fred Slow first annual Type 3 Diabetes Sit-In.
And then at the bottom, because obviously we'd have a big banner over it, and it would say, like, in very tiny print, like, yes, we get the irony here.
Yeah, right, exactly. We have to hit a break, Fred. It is the weigh-in, weighinradio.com, caveradiobroadcasting.com. All right.
Good spot there. Good energy.
That was good. Yeah, that was good. Wait, I didn't know what we were going to do those last 2 minutes, but we made it work. Okay, let's see. It's 43 right now. Okay, we'll go 11 minutes. That one. Well, we could probably go 12.
What are we going about now?
Let's see. I have a couple things. Just follow my lead.
You want me to bring it back, or do you got it?
I can bring it back.
Cool.
Actually, no, you bring it back. You bring it back, and then I'll get into whatever I want to get into.
Cool.
Okay, we will go till 11. Okay, 3. Oh, you know what? I almost cued you. I got to play this sounder. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Now, back to the weigh-in.
I've been on the radio quite a bit, but I want to do it like as a part-time thing. Not to make money, but because I love hearing myself on the radio.
WeighInRadio.com.
So eventually, if forced to, I will come out of retirement, but I'm not going to do it without a handler.
Well, look, I mean, that's just good business.
Yeah, because I'm not coming out without. If I don't get a very decent pop, then what's the point?
I mean, talk to Gordie Howe about that.
Oh, yeah. If you're going to go to the man, when I'm asking about religion, I don't go straight to God. All right.
Well, look, he's the master of doing one shift per decade, just to say that he's played, one shift in the past 7 decades or whatever.
I was watching Monday Night Raw last night, and Monday Night Raw is traditionally like the number 2 rated show on Mondays every single week behind Monday Night Football. Just millions of people watch it literally, and I'm a 30-year-old child.
Sure,
so
you're a man child, the man baby Manfred.
Cool. Now I have to change my wrestling name. Super bogus. So I'm watching it last night, and the show starts, and always starts the same way with Michael Cole, and he says, welcome to Monday Night Raw, live from Dallas, Texas. And then the glass breaks, and Stone Cold comes out. Ooh, he hadn't been on Raw in like 4 years, Mike. Like, I went from man child to like having a man boner right there. Loved it.
Well, why did Stone Cold come back? Are ratings low? I mean, because when I used to watch wrestling, Fred, it was the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
So, they didn't have to fall back on their old superstars. I mean, every now and then Shawn Michaels would pop in for 15 minutes, but The Rock and Stone Cold and Mankind had it all handled. But now every 3 months on Twitter, one of those 3 guys come back for a cameo. I mean, what do they? They're like, oh, hey, I left this set of keys here back in 1998. Good luck, everybody.
Yeah, well, exactly. Raw had fallen to like number 3 in the ratings for the first time in like years. I don't know, it's like Empire or something beat them, like a replay of Empire. So yeah, last night there was Stone Cold and The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair and all those dudes I used to beat up as pillows when I was a kid, and it was just a really good night for 13-year-old me.
So the rest of the time when you're stuck with their current superstars, I mean, does wrestling suck now? Is that what's going on?
No, exact opposite. It's a different game now. So like, for instance, the number 1 guy kind of in the industry is a guy named Seth Rollins. And Seth Rollins is a year younger than me, which I personally, as a 30-year-old, hate, but that's whatever. And he's like a CrossFit Jesus that like only eats like Paleolithic foods that cavemen eat, and he just like is everything that you hate about a dude who's found success, right?
Yeah, right.
Just he's a Greek Adonis, and he put a picture of his own unit, his dick on the internet, and it was huge. And you're pissed every time you look at him, but God, you respect him.
Right, because you're thinking, oh, well, a guy who's that jacked probably has a small dick because he did so many steroids, but he doesn't.
No, he's literally everything you always wanted to be as a child up until like, right now. And you're not that thing. So instead of like putting these guys on pedestals and making them heroes and making them like everything you envy as a child, instead, that envy is now jealousy.
Well, because, as a child, you look up to him, and
yes.
One day, if I work hard, as Hulk Hogan used to say, before he went on racist rants, if you say your prayers and take your vitamins, you can be that. Well, now we're 31, Fred, and this is what we are now that we're grown up. We're never going to be this guy. This guy's not only everything we want to be, he's also younger than us. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, he is way better than me. And that's fine, because the way that wrestling is now, it's in they call it the reality area now. It's not the attitude area. So you can't just watch Monday Night Raw and be up on wrestling. You have to follow the Twitters, and you have to get on the message boards, and you have to check out the YouTube shows, and you have to, because there's so much canon. Like everything that's happening is kayfabe, like everything. So it's overwhelming, man.
Sounds like too much work, but
it's way too much.
Fred, the same reasons you hate Seth Rollins physically is the same premise behind a new theory that I've come up with. I have come up with a theory that if you want America to hate you, be on Jeopardy for more than one night at a time, which means obviously you have to win and become a returning champion. But just try this. Of course, there was this guy named Matt Jackson who won 13 games in a row, and every day on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, there were more pictures of this guy. There was more pictures of this guy, and people just talking about how they hate him, wishing he would lose. And so he eventually lost. And I found that the guy who replaced him, a guy named Josh, who spelled his name with an exclamation point. So he didn't just write Josh. It was Josh! Exclamation point. I got real sick of his crap after one show. And then he was on for 2 more shows. So yesterday, I took a picture of him, put it up on my Instagram. It said, "This bleeping guy." And it turns out everyone hates this guy too. So I'm wondering, and I'm gonna keep doing this. If everybody hates you, if you win more than one game of Jeopardy.
There's 2 points I'm going to make sure we hit on here. Number 1, Jeopardy has an exclamation point at the end of it. So maybe, yeah. So the official title of Jeopardy has an exclamation point. So maybe it has something to do with irony. Also, I remember, and you're going to have to help me with the year, but I think it was the summer of 2004 when Ken Jennings was on his tear. And
you know what? I was all about Ken Jennings, and then about halfway through, he got cocky and he started getting on my nerves.
Well, and that's exactly where I was going, because if also I remember correctly, Vegas had prop bets on if he was going to like write his name in cursive or write his name in print or even write his, like, there was, because he was on 74 or 5 episodes in a row. Like, they crazy. He won like $3 million, dog. $3 million.
I went through like the 7 stages of grief when it came to Ken Jennings. Like, I was all about him. Then I hated him. Then I was all about him again. And then somebody told me the Monday before his final week that he was going to lose on Wednesday. And it was just over. Because I guess what happens on Jeopardy, they tape a bunch in a row,
yeah,
and then they rerun them. And they must have like a really good gag order on people, because for the most part you don't really know the outcome before it happens. But it happened to me with Jennings, and I just haven't been as into Jeopardy since.
Well, he beat Watson, which was a computer, which is not what science fiction tells me would happen.
Right, which is good, because I fear computers. I think, Fred, it's been a concern of everyone since the 1950s that eventually the computers will become self-aware and they'll make us all slaves.
I have several fears in my life, and one thing I'd like to admit, first I'd like to admit I could not win 74 consecutive episodes on So You Think You're Smarter Than a 5th Grader. There's no way. I wouldn't do it. But my second biggest fear in the world, not only computers taking us over, but one Ken Jennings, a Brigham Young graduate. We're talking the Church of Latter-day Saints, Mike. The one true religion. Are you following me?
Do you think that he had one win for every wife?
I am full on, you don't live here in St. Louis, but about 60 miles north of St. Louis, there's this place, Nauvoo, Missouri, and it is literally the birthplace of Mormons. Wow. And it is just, and I love every single Mormon person I meet is the nicest person I've ever met. But conceptually, you're talking to a snake in a hat, man. Like, figure this out.
They're probably nice until you tell them that, like, a gay person, then they probably hate you.
But what they really hate is whenever you drink a soda with caffeine in front of them.
That's the devil's nectar.
You can't do it. But no, I agree. People just like Seth Rollins who find success, F them.
Could you imagine, though, Ken Jennings is a Mormon from the Church of Latter-day Saints. Can you imagine being home on a Saturday afternoon, knock on your door, you open up, and there's Ken Jennings handing you a copy of The Watchtower?
If I'm going to be converted to the LDS, I want to be converted only by Ken Jennings.
right? Or your multiple beautiful wives that you could have if you just made the conversion. I don't know what you have to do. If you have to sign a piece of paper or what.
I want to be able to walk into the Salt Lake Temple. Whatever I got to do. I just want to go inside of it one time.
Really? How's the Wi-Fi in the Salt Lake Temple? Is it nice?
Well, no one knows it's not one. You can't go in there. That's what I'm saying. There's it's like the most elusive club. No, not elusive. That's not the word I want.
Exclusive.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can't go.
I'm sure you could Google pictures of it though.
Yeah, not of the inside.
No? I'm going to do it right now. What do we got? We got 2 minutes left in the show. Hold on. Let me see if I can speed Google pictures of the Great Salt Lake Temple.
Maybe if you find one, you'd have to prove to me that it's real. And I don't know if you'd be able to do that because no one can go in there.
Well, and also I'm busy. I got to watch the first 6 Star Wars now between now and December. So maybe after the new year. All right. We got to get out of here. We'll be back next week. As long as Fred hasn't converted to a religion that prohibits electricity and podcasting. It is. What's that? Go ahead.
The Third Great Awakening will get me. I actually know a surprisingly lot about being Mormon. It's a laughable religion. That's all. That's kind of edgy. Sorry, guys. Ugh.
Bye. And we're clear. All right. So I'm actually going to keep this rolling here. We can stop the Google Plus broadcast, but